Okay, dear. Yeah, okay, bye, dear. Okay, there's the Miller IV monkey. Um, where are you, Frank? Who's there? Call Mitch.
Hi guys. Hi Phil.
Oh, there's
I'm
Frank.
here now. Can you see me?
I can see you.
This is my buddy here.
Yeah,
I thought he kind of fit in with the theme. Anyway, I I don't see the whole panel. Let's see. How do I do that?
you don't see what?
Oh, okay. So just you and me
Okay,
so
I'm on
far?
now.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
Okay, bye. Huh?
Oh, you're talking to someone else.
Okay, bye. What's that,
Anyway,
Frank?
well, I was just doing something else for a little bit. I
Oh,
told
you
you we were
are?
gonna.
Okay,
So I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay.
okay.
Right on. Yeah, turn this off a little.
Just just sneaking a look at the Red Sox box score. You talking now?
Okay, now can you hear me?
There you go. There you go.
Okay. Here's my wife, Etson, standing behind, Etsko standing behind the monkey.
Let's go. How are you doing, sister? Long time no see. Is this your
Hey,
brother or something like that?
there you go. This guy's name is Alex. We named him Alex Frank. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
his
well
name.
there's Mitch. Mitch knows no, never met Etsuko though.
Okay.
Oh,
This is
hi.
Mitch.
Oh,
Etsuko.
that's
Hi.
Mitch. He's one of the guys in the samurai.
Good
Hello.
to
Say,
see you
say
again,
hi.
sister.
I'm gonna sleep.
She just woke up, so
Oh yeah.
yeah, she's kind
Okay.
of sleepy. But yeah, hey Mitch, here's my buddy here. He's going to join us today.
What's his
He's
All
got
name?
right.
he's got Alex Frank.
Alex
I don't
Frank.
know.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah, that's his name.
Okay.
with a name like that, he should be able to join us.
Yeah, that's what I figured. He'd
So
be a
that's
good.
so that's Mitch's wife that you haven't met, Mitch. You knew the other one.
Okay.
Oh, this is Mitch's wife. Okay, I just dropped my book, which is not binded, so I got to pick up the pieces here.
Oh, that's right. Your book is all scattered around separate pieces.
Yeah,
And there's Jamie Laird
Hey,
joining in.
we can compare notes on that. I've got mine. My binding came loose on my paperback the first
here's
first meeting we
yeah.
had.
Really, you too? Look, mine just it's like this
Yeah.
papers, you know.
Well, mine's look. I
Maybe I
can show
should
you right
just
now.
maybe I
See?
should just do this all the time.
Yeah.
Right. There you go. That's my
There you
book
go.
too.
That's the one.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay,
Oh, and
I
there's some
got
other
it. My
stuff over
whole
there. Mitch has
page.
some other pages.
I got all kinds of pages scattered in coming out of this book binding. But the next part reading, it'll all be in the book. But this whole middle section came loose, and that was kind of nice. I was just holding the page and flipping out another one.
It must be a regular problem because I was looking for a book to buy, and one of the selling points for this one guy was that, hey, it's going to hold together. It's all the pages are there. I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
this must be a regular problem.
they probably had a large printing, a particular printing that wasn't bound well. You know,
Yeah.
that the glue just wasn't right on the machine setting.
Was
Oh,
that was that a used copy, Frank, or a new copy?
what's that?
Was that a used copy or a new copy?
Well, this is the one that cost 28 cents. It was used.
That sounds
Gotta
more
be used.
used than mine. I paid almost like $9 for my coffee, and it
Well,
was I had to get it sent from the used book store across town. I was the only one in Austin. I thought there'd be a whole bunch of them, and a lot of times there are at my half price book
Look at this.
stores. But
mine was 28 cents, but
you
uh,
got a
the,
deal.
the postage was $9.
That's how they
Well,
do
I
that.
think I think that this was the hardest copy to find in the whole world. I mean,
I
uh,
don't understand why. They really should put it in reprint. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to buy 10 copies for my friends and family.
Yeah,
well,
I
then he
couldn't
out. Go ahead, Frank or Mitch.
I couldn't get it at the Austin Library, and they're very good at stocking books that are not just popular, but nice educational stuff and good reads. So I told them about it, and they said they'd order some. They'll do that,
Hmm.
but not in time for me
Right, right.
to
Well, that
read
would
it.
Yeah.
be. See,
But
my sense of it is that it's very hard to find this issue, this edition, because then he followed it up with that one that was just called um, Darwin's Lost Theory, um, which is a
Yeah.
larger, and later on edition. And so it was pretty tough to find copies because Morgan and I were trying to find copies, and finally she got a copy. But so here we are, early on, like I promised everyone we would do.
Okay, Jamie's trying to.
Oh, check it there. Oh, I forget what's his name a little again?
Lulu just burst in. She likes,
She.
she follows me everywhere.
Oh, I know her.
How old is she?
She's 5 years old now.
Oh, yeah.
She's a
Mhm.
riot, Frank. This dog is so cool.
This dog will chase a ball
Yeah.
until the sun goes down.
She'll chase a ball anywhere. So
And-
Scott hasn't met your dog either.
No.
Oh, there's
He-
Scott.
Is she gone now? We can sit on the sofa and then throw it to the sink, to the refrigerator, or to the kitchen, or down the hall and down in the kitchen, and she'll chase it all the way back down there and scramble back and bring it back, and she won't let you not do it. She won't let you not do it. So
Hey, can you guys hear me?
so you guys all know Scott, right? Have you guys actually met Scott now? Because
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Scott. Seen you once at least.
Yep. One time.
Jamie's trying to get on board.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
we can
Yeah.
hear you, Jamie.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the video.
Yeah.
Unblock it.
Tag or
Actually, it's supposed to be the other way around, Jamie, where you should be seen but not heard.
well, I can't do either. So I don't know. Mirror my video. Self view. I don't know what it says. Auto is what it's supposed to be, I
Okay.
guess.
Well, the early
You
bird.
hear me. I don't know what this means.
Of course, the last time we saw you, you were like lying down or something like that.
Well, not really lying down. Just
Well,
lying.
He was in bed.
Just lying.
I don't know what's going on. Integrated webcam. That's the one that I'm supposed to be using. It says it shows me, but I don't see me. Mirror my video. What the heck does that mean?
Boy, I'll tell you, I just ran into a little snag just now at 3:30, and had to make a quick call to Nora
Oh, to get hooked up.
to get me back on track. I tell you, I am so unhappy with the age of technology that I used to
Yeah, me
be.
too.
I used to feel good
Very
about
frustrating.
being 88 years old, but I'm almost thinking I'd just shut it down, man. I'm so disgusted with it. It's
You got to keep up from a long time ago. I never kept up.
It's a little late to catch up, though.
I can't do it. I can't relate to it. And
I don't know what the. I don't know.
now with artificial intelligence, I mean, my God, what are we dealing with?
Hey, Judy, come here for a second, would you?
Yeah, and if you want, you can get, summaries of our meetings
to-
with AI.
The camera's working. It's on.
Okay,
it
good.
won't go over here.
Hey, there you go. You're stop flashing
Do you
now.
recognize any of this stuff?
Don't see you yet, though.
They can't see you.
No, you can't see me. I can see me. Does this mirror my video? What does this mean?
Well, you're framed now with a green light.
That's
That's when you talk. I see. That's, of course, when you talk.
Oh, that's weird.
receiving video.
It just says it's from one side to the other.
So the one guy
Yep.
I know that won't be here, which I'm really sorry, we're going to be on the phone tomorrow, is Tim Reith, and he's our archaeologist. And
It's not working.
I-
They can hear me though.
if you've seen him, in one or so, haven't you all? Yeah, he's a great story, Frank or
Yeah,
Tim.
Phil.
You can't see you though.
Well, now we can see him.
Yeah.
Was that Judy?
Hi,
It's Judy.
Judy.
how are you?
I'm
Can't
good,
see you.
sister. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I can't help Jamie with this situation though.
See the videos. Let's see what it says. How do you, and that's what I
Click on that,
yeah, I clicked on it, believe me.
and that's when it switches back.
Oh, what do you know?
There we go.
Hey.
Judy bailed you out.
Yeah, no,
Excellent.
that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm taking the credit for
You-
sure.
Yeah, the machine is just scared of her. That's,
Bye, guys. Have fun.
Bye,
Bye,
Judy.
Judy.
How many times has Judy
Yeah,
hosted
that's
me
right.
at their house? Yep.
Yeah, same house.
Same house.
35 years now.
Wow. I've been there.
Let's see. You've been there too.
Yeah.
All right.
Have you ever stayed there? Have you ever slept on the living room floor?
I slept on the couch once. I think it was a May 5th Cinco de Mayo party at his house, and
Oh, you just passed out or
I
something.
I don't take good tequila very well. Spent a lot of time in the bathroom.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
boy.
never got to sleep on the. Oh, I did get to sleep in the boys' room because they weren't there. I think once or twice, but most of the time I slept on the living room floor.
Yeah, it's a nice room, that one.
Yeah,
This is the dog, Phil, that my sister got after Yogi died. This dog's 1 year old.
1 year.
that's not the one from before.
No, that Yogi died
Oh, she died.
3 years ago, and this is a year-old dog named Rishi.
Richie. That's a boy.
Rishi.
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 Oh, very good. There's somebody spiritual in that house.
The
Well,
dog.
It's Yogi's replacement.
Everybody's spiritual in that house. So
You know,
I'm kidding.
Rishi is the enlightened Yogi.
I know. Looks like Yogi. Yeah. It's been a few
Definitely
years,
does.
couple of few years
And
since I've seen
Lilu
him.
just brought me something.
Oh yeah, that would be Yogi's trick.
Yogi, yeah, the other dog tries to keep up with Lilu, but Lilu's the ball master.
Oh yeah.
Lilu jumps up in the air and grabs that ball.
Rishi.
Anyway,
Very good. Very
I
good.
let the dogs in, but I'm going to kick them out once we get seriously talking.
Yeah, that might happen.
Gotta keep my phone here to know. It's almost three. We almost got to. It's almost time. 3 minutes to go before
Yep.
class starts.
I'm kicking the dogs out right now.
I got my book in front of me. And
Me
Nope.
too. Me too. And my notes.
Yeah, me too.
There's a lot of material in this stuff.
This is such a great
God, I
section.
tell you, those 4 chapters are chock full.
They really are. They really are, especially the first few. And
Yeah.
but there's what I wanted to start out with was all the different like processes in them, especially in these first couple of chapters. And how, well,
The
like for
steps, yeah.
example, caring and um how's those go again? I keep forgetting those four.
No.
Caring and
Anytime-
reflecting in language and habit. And
Yeah.
those are why we're going to want to talk about today. I mean, that's what evolution, of course, is really all about, isn't it? It's just a process. And I do talk on my walks a lot. And one of them a few months ago, I was talking about the comparison between evolution and story, and how every story is an evolution. And evolution is a story. I mean, it's just a process from one point to another. And Darwin does it so beautifully here. Lloyd does it so beautifully here, and Darwin himself did it as well. So,
Well, to me, it was fascinating that there was this thing that Darwin would never articulate and name. And it turns out it's organic choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he gives it this name, and it's like I as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, that's so interesting that's this big deal that Darwin just would not name but was aware of. And this Loy calls it organic choice. And I was immediately reminded of how Phil in your classes and, that you've taught and you've, described that, stories, a good story involves making a choice.
Plus every item in the story has to be organic.
Yeah. But that's to me, it was just fascinating that this Loy came up with that term organic choice for what Darwin could never name or didn't want to name.
So I'm sorry, Mitch, go ahead.
Who knows what Darwin would have named it? But
I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to turn it over in a little bit for you because there's the reference in here to the I Ching. But let's just start out here for a moment with what do we feel is a synonym from what as we read this to organic choice. It's a chapter later, but what is organic choice, right?
I had a question of what level of consciousness organic choice is occurring at. I mean, there's conscious and there's unconscious. And then we've talked about, society talks about subconscious, but where is this organic choice occurring? Is it at all levels so that our wide awake conscious level, we actually are making organic choices? But as far as evolution goes,
Hey, Ronnie.
were these unconscious, all these choices? The actual evolution, the movement from one generation to the next.
Well, I think you can in that first four with habit at the end. I think one of the things that you're talking about here, the unconscious, would definitely be in that habit, right? Because that's what becomes part of our unconscious, right? Because it's within us, in that respect, in that habit forming.
Yeah.
We look at habit usually as a bad thing, but in this particular case, of course, it's not a bad thing. There's all kinds of good habits and so on. I have a term that I consider to be synonymous with organic choice, but I want to hear more for what you guys think. You're playing around with consciousness and so on, which of course is, I think, there. Any other theories for what organic choice is? It's a chapter later. Maybe we should be still talking about the drive for fulfillment. What a wonderful phrase that is. My goodness.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
That's life.
and of course, in the beginning sections here, yes.
So I think what you're talking about is the evolution of organic choice. You make a choice, and
Yep.
over millions of years, as we've read, it becomes a habit. He still doesn't get right to what I was talking about last time. But he uses instinct a great deal. Does learned behavior become habit and then becomes instinctual? I kind of get the feeling that's what he's getting at.
It is.
I haven't looked yet.
Yeah.
But I think it's a process,
Because instinct is really, of course, the beauty in this first chapter or two is about animals still. And then there's this movement from animals to us. And he makes a big point of this. showing how the evolution of the animals then is because that's what we are. And he doesn't talk much about that in this book, but we are, of course, we're animals physically, right? But our evolution transcends, of course, animal evolution. But at the same time, he makes a big point of making that transference somewhere in these two chapters into what we share. In fact, there's that chapter where he is considered to be anthropomorphizing with the animals, right? And the sophisticated scientists consider to be identifying with animals, which Lloyd tells us Darwin did. That's unscientific in the idea of modern science.
Yeah, like dogs being sympathetic. I mean, that's the kind of thing he's talking about, right? I mean, just a dog feeling bad when its owner has gotten injured. Like,
Yeah.
but so that's at a conscious level, but the impetus is really under the conscious level, right? I mean, the impetus is you're talking about habit being passed on.
What's the
I
word you're
guess.
using? Sounds like nepotism. I don't think that's what you mean.
Impetus.
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 Yeah.
The impetus.
Yeah.
IMPUT.
Yeah.
Impetus. But yeah, like what causes the organic change? The dynamic. I mean, I know the passage of time, but I'm just thinking so it must be. That's why I'm wondering about the consciousness level of the passage of habits. I mean, you're talking instincts, reflection, or you called it caring, reflection, language, and habit. And the habit somehow gets, made a part of our instincts. So that then it becomes less conscious. It's more just what you do.
Okay, well,
So-
go ahead. Cool.
Well, so then, is it possible to take deliberate action regarding habits such that we would want to build them into becoming permanent parts of our behavior? That we would be capable of that?
I think it's absolutely true. And in spiritual traditions, these habits are called practices.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Practice.
Well, that's what
back to organic choice. I think organic choice means conscience. That's how I read it, and how Lloyd develops it through our own best faculty, which I think is conscience, and I think that's really what it's all about. Where
Conscience.
Yeah, and that word does appear a couple times.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, conscience.
Well, and so, I mean, people in different traditions have different consciousnesses, and a lot of people in a Christian tradition will make a choice based on, what their peers think would be a good Christian way to choose something, and you could call that organic if they're doing it out of their conscience, but I have a different. I think of organic when I think the first thing that comes to mind to me as organic is the fruits and vegetables I buy, as opposed to non-organic. And so, what's not organic? Stuff that's artificially influenced.
Absolutely.
So, to me, when I make a choice, am I thinking in terms of my environment, the Tao I'm in, or am I making a choice based on stuff I hear on TV and the radio and talk shows and, things, other, influencers, so to speak? Or am I making a choice out of recognizing what the Tao is? And that's to me an organic choice. And, sure, I could be influenced by people or the media, but ultimately it has to be integrated. So,
Well, yeah, I think, don't you think that that's how it works when we have a foundation of some kind, and then we get new input. I mean, this is also where we get into what do you call it? Sorry, let me think about this for 1 second. Shit, what do you call it? Chaos theory, and
yeah.
so where you have this holism, cybernetics is in that category too, and so we have this holism where meaning or reason or any kind of word like that is actually found within the chaos, right? And then you put it together and recognize that there's a center to it and a holism to it. And that's to me what that's about. But I think conscience is, and there's another place where he makes this distinction between moralism and morality. And so you can really see the distinction there that Darwin would be pushing for, and then Lloyd would be putting it in these other terms, where moralism would be the worst kind of prejudicial behavior, really, whereas with morality is openness and
So with
holism.
with moralism ending in ISM, it sounds like a religion or something. I mean, moralism,
Right.
Rather than the actual big block of morality. Moralism is what the tenets of a religion or something.
Sure. Even though ism isn't a bad word, and it's just more connotation than denotation, I mean,
Yeah.
you could say moralism. One person could use the word moralism with a moral sense of it, with a moral meaning. And that's this whole thing we've been reading this week is about morality. It's about the moral. It's really I would say the lifeblood of evolution is the moral nature, whatever other terms you would use along with moral.
Well, I was glad to see they use the golden rule as an example, and that's
Yeah.
like ultimately, if you're using that to make decisions, then you're gonna, there's a moralism there that's good and kosher, so to speak.
I think it's on page 179. I think he had that was really the core of that part of his argument. 170, and it just seemed so apropos to this week. And I have to say I didn't ever really know who Charlie Kirk was and all that, but the bottom
I
of
didn't know who he was either.
yeah, and it's like, oh, he's this big thing, okay. But at the bottom of 178 is like, oh, were you just describing him? And then into that first full paragraph of 179, that issue of going back to what you're saying, the escalation of moralism, of right-wing preachers and politicians trying to batter down the barrier into teaching, violence personified, moralism used by rightists of all types, to spread authoritarianism and such. And I just thought that, when I got to these pages, I'm like, well, that's really on topic this week, and seeing how this, and I don't watch the news very much either because I don't want to. Either they're coming to the door or they're not. I mean, if they come to the door, that's bad on them. But
That'd be
to see that
better.
there's this discussion happening across the country, I suppose around the world, but across the country about the moralism of this guy, about and the whitewashing of his really heinous comments over the last 10, 12 years. Not that what he was doing organizing people, that's okay. You get to do that. But don't tell me he wasn't
Racist.
yeah, that his karmic wheelbarrow wasn't full of dung.
Racist.
I mean, it was bad
Yes.
news. It's really bad news. So I thought that was interesting.
That's the way
And
I
he'll
don't
be
watch
meeting-
the news either. Yeah. Sorry.
I don't know where Ezra Klein is coming from, by kind of lauding him. And it's like I don't know. I mean, maybe he's very gracious about his prejudices, but I don't see any reason to be, I don't want to just get into that because you end up
this is a black hole, buddy. We're gonna
and you start thinking
right into this.
and you start thinking about that guy Ryan, what's his name, in Florida that was gonna shoot. I was gonna say Darwin, shoot Trump at the golf course, and you kind of go, oh shucks,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, you don't like to feel that way or whatever.
The guy a couple of days ago was a much better shot than the guy who was on the roof.
Well, I'll say, or that guy that shot Trump in the ear. Yeah, that's the one you're thinking of, right?
Yeah,
That
he
shot him,
just missed.
shot him in the ear. Or the
Yeah.
guy that didn't shoot him at all at the golf course. And I go, that guy seems very rational when I was reading about him originally about it, now you don't hear anything. He is being tried. And guess who his lawyer? Guess who the judge is?
Oh, the judge is Cannon. Louis Cannon.
Aileen Cannon, Trump's own personal judge. I mean,
In his pocket. Yeah, that's great.
This guy's gonna get a fair,
Personal enemy.
but he seemed very rational, that guy, and I mean, anyway, that's another topic. But what I want to talk about a little bit though is to look at because I've got them kind of written here. There's a number of processes, or and so right on page one, the one that we get as almost the foundational one is this one that goes, the one we got that we already talked about, which is the big breakthrough when we became gendered, so that we became male and female, and then these new steps took place. The sexual, you could say, moral nature, or the sexual quality. There's a whole all through this book is full of this sequence that happened when we became male and female, right? So that we then weren't just savages. It's interesting all the different talks about savage in this section, but when we were hermaphroditic, we could impregnate ourselves. And so there was, as Lloyd seems to lay it out, we would eat our own offspring. And there was no amity
No
there.
morality.
Yeah, no morality. And so then having sexual attraction and sexual affection was a huge thing. So that was the first one, right? And then that was followed by parenting, because we were then producing babies and so on, and offspring, and a whole new kind of care, a whole new kind of love and so on was there. And then the third one was the social quality, society, where there was affection and affinity and all these things that's in that process. And it's also interesting. There are, even though Lloyd doesn't talk much about it, there are references that we could consider to be, because I sent out that thing a couple of months ago, whenever that was, Darwin's lost theory of enmity.
Yeah.
But in the mean, because I really still wonder why Lloyd never mentions the amity enmity complex, never mentions Arthur Keith, even though he wrote a book called A New View of Evolution, and he isn't even in the index in the back, and the references in the back. I mean, I just can't figure that out. But nonetheless, he does reference here and there that Darwin. I wish I had a spot now. I know I got several of them where he says, "Wait, they didn't care. You didn't. He didn't. Humans didn't feel fondness for everyone in their species or in their group or something like that. And so that's
Talked
so I
about
would, and I would
their
write in the margin.
associations.
I would write in the margin, amity, enmity. In fact, I think on 151 there's one, where the last paragraph of the top of page 151. We must in particular deal with another reason many people have been impelled to avoid or skip read Darwin on the moral sense over 100 years. Let's call it the irritation alienation factor. And so, but there's other better ones. That just happens to be a page I have open, and where, but he doesn't go into it much. Lloyd doesn't really go into that much, and I think that's the one missing thing, because I really, the more I go over this book, my God, the more I honor it, and of course I already did enough to want all of us to read it together, because I think he does such a great job with Darwin and with these themes. But what I want to mention, so we have the sex, parenting, society, and then on page 130, though, which is really the process gets expanded, because at the very top of the page, he says, the sense rises out of the sequential development of our sexual, parental, and social instincts, topped with emotion and then reason. And we see that in all these other called sequences as well. Having laid down a foundation for moral evolution in biology, he will now erect the superstructure. And this is the house metaphor, right? Which is, once again, foundational in this whole view of what he's developing. Let's wait just a second here. Hello.
Yep.
Hey, I'm on Zoom call.
In a class.
This is my phone. Oh yeah. I was calling for Nora. Okay, man. Be well. Bye. Eric, we went and watched Zach play football last night. They killed Lakewood Scott 40 something to nothing.
Okay.
And
Wow.
Zach never gets passes thrown to him. He's out there getting open, but he doesn't get any passes thrown to him. So anyway, back to the top of page 130, sequential development. Having laid down a foundation for moral evolution and biology, he will now erect the superstructure in psychology, sociology, and anthropology. And this is where Lloyd's showing us the movement from the animal evolution into human evolution. And at the very lowest level before the superstructure of the house metaphor, it's we're right in there with animals. I mean, and they're evolving, we're evolving. But we have this capacity because then he talks about it. There's the windows of the house, and there are all these other parts of the house. He's erecting this moral uh, building that I think is a really a great metaphor. But there's a couple of more sequences here, including the first half of Darwin and the second half of Darwin. But and the biological, cultural, psychological, that's all in on page 130. And then you've got in page 132, you've got we already mentioned it, the caring, the reflection, the language, the habit. Those are evolutionary sequences. And then you've got at page 139, there's consensus of there's conscious, there's unconscious. This is on page 132. There's unconscious, and then there's that. This is the house metaphor. So you get the unconscious, and then the conscious, and then the consensus of community, which goes along with the language one and the caring, reflection, language, and habit. And this is all of this is evolutionary sequences, evolutionary processes. And so you got the community, and then you've got the replication of morality, which is tied in with habit. This replication of morality, as we were talking about it before. It's like these processes, and then later on page 139 and 140, there's the 5-part sequence from information, 139 and 140. There's information, then memory of the past, and then the now, the present, the recognition of the present, and then the discovering of conflict and perception of the two, and then finally a drive to resolve that contradiction. I mean, this is this beautiful way of looking at our evolution and the stages that we've gone through, these basically story that Loy has laid out for us. So I think that another word for organic choice is moral struggle, which is a phrase that Loy also uses in that section around 134, 130s, whatever that is. I mean, we face a moral struggle. I mean, let's face it, it's always going to be a choice between selfishness and others,
Altruism.
Altruism, exactly. Yeah.
But that was so the thing that got my attention on that topic was that if it except for the outliers, it didn't seem it's an issue of reflected altruism. It's that it's become habit, which is why morality has evolved, because the actions that you just described that then allowed society to evolve with the characteristics that supported ourselves, our family unit, our group, and larger, we wouldn't have to think about them, right? I mean, that was that one thing. Are you doing something heroic because you're doing on balance that it's altruistic, or are you doing it because over all of this time, that part of the human nature has evolved to, we just do that. That's just what we do. And I thought that was I think that was right towards the,
Mhm.
it was further on. It was a couple it was towards the end of the readings. That we weren't considering whether we were being selfish or altruistic. We just did something.
But then that creates a real convenient fallback for us, that, well, that's always the way it's been done, and sometimes that's not even a relevant conversation.
I guess I think of it in terms of choice to do something, right?
Okay.
And there's the times, then that's the, so I come up with examples. I mean, there's the choice if you go and help the little old lady cross the street. That's an altruistic thing. Now, it may be based and it's the right thing to do, but you're having to make a choice to do it. But they're also the ones he was using the example of saving somebody from a fire, right? You're just doing it because in the context of all of this other discussion, we've gotten to a point where supporting our community and other people is just what we do because that has helped society move along and for people to evolve. I do like his comments about for those who haven't evolved or who choose to make amoral choices.
There are a bunch of us out there who just haven't evolved yet.
Well,
But the fire thing is real
well, there's a
interesting
process.
because
There's a
I'm sorry.
process.
So if you don't mind, I'll just finish this real quick. The fire thing is interesting to me because at some point we make choices again. I mean, do we rush in and help somebody we don't know? Maybe we do. Do we rush in and help our child? Of course. But I mean, once we get to those distinctions, then it gets more complicated.
And it's not totally unvirtuous not to. I mean, if you've got responsibilities outside that burning house, then how do you go about that? I mean, I think that a nice term to think of in parallel with evolution for me is enlightenment. So, and this is seventh chakra thinking, and as we move along and beyond this book and other stuff that we're going to be looking at, I think the seven chakras really have to be uppermost in our consideration, and because what's at the top of the list, really, the seventh chakra is wisdom. So our path is to wisdom. And I don't know if I've told all of you this, but I've shared with a couple of you an insight I happened not too many months ago to take the vertical chakra system that they're called the vertical chart, the chakra chart we usually think of: physical, emotional, mental, moral, creative, intuitive, and wisdom. But instead of but we think of that as our own selves. We think of that as our own makeup, our own structure. But let's make it horizontal rather than vertical. Now we're not thinking of it so much in terms of space. We're thinking of it as in terms of time. So now we look at physical, emotional, mental, moral, heart chakra, creative, throat chakra, intuitive, third eye chakra, and wisdom, crown in 7,000 petal lotus. Now, think about this. We know about ontogeny recapitulates phylogeny. In other words, the time we spend in the womb is actually recapitulating we've talked about this before, recapitulating our evolution. But if we think of this now as our seven faculties, basically, over time.
Mhm.
So now, over millions of years, we've gone from an animal, a two-legged animal, who then developed emotions, and a lot of this is in this evolutionary thing that he's laying out for us here. we developed, of course, if we're just physical two-legged creatures that are out there running around, and so suddenly we're going to have emotions. Emotions are going to get into it. Some rage and whatever are going to become a part of it. And then just exactly what he's laying out for us here. And so then a mental nature, which would have to become a part of it as well. Calculations and considerations of that enemy or that opponent or what have you. And then we've got the moral nature that he's talking about himself, the heart chakra. And then creative, intuitive, and wisdom. Plus, as you, some of you know, I mean, we've talked about this maybe, that as I see it, what we're doing here is loving wisdom. That's the philosophical evolution part of it, because so we are doing it from the point of view of loving wisdom. That's why I think we should be approaching everything philosophically, which would mean not we have to have a PhD in philosophy or have to know the difference between this philosopher and that philosopher or whatever, and just say we're just doing it because we have a love for wisdom. And so that would be to me to be the ultimate approach to evolution. Would be to love wisdom. So that's just it'll come up a lot, I think, in our discussions. And that's why I chose to call this thing philosophical evolution. So that we recognize this process and embrace it with that approach. And so then it becomes what is wisdom and what would the sage think, or what would the wise soul believe or approach or what have you. And I don't think we can avoid, I don't think we can ignore it. I mean, I think that this is really what it comes down to. In our everyday lives, to me, the most useful faculty that we have is to be able to do something and then reflect, was that a wise thing to do? And so then we go, maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, we've all had to face that fact in our own behavior often.
Shouldn't have thrown him that hanging curve, man. No?
Yeah, did you watch the beginning of the game there today? The Red Sox were losing 4-2 in the seventh inning. That first inning was.
I think they lost again today.
Anyway, that's another topic.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, we share some of these things. So,
yeah.
And then we get into in the organic choice chapter, we get into conscience, like I really think it's on page 138. Conscience emerges, even among insects. And then on 139, the moral struggle is the organic choice, inward monitor, all this stuff. But what I wanted to get into was the feedback loop, the references to Marx and Engels, which we all know, right? What's that process?
Can I say two things? Just one thing is, when you were talking about amity and enmity, my feeling was that, well, Darwin never used the words, or loyal either. They certainly recognize that your amity ends at the riverbank and another tribe is on the other side where the amity doesn't extend to. And
Jamie can tell us all about that. He read what book is that again, Jamie?
Was it? under the mountain shadow or something like that.
Yeah.
Under the mountain wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
that's what made me
That's
think
what
of
we
that.
talked about here is that we
Tell these guys about it.
was about that book was about the social evolution and how we are drawn to those close to us in our society, but that doesn't include all of the individuals of our species, those people across the river, and we don't necessarily have to like them or even want to like them. That's the whole thing about altruism. Is it we do it selfishly or what? Those in our own group, we want praise and what did I say? But disdain scorn, and so we want to do what the group has decided essentially is the right thing to do. So, and it's interesting that what I came to with that particular book was that no matter how primitive, if you will, the group is, we all experience the exact same emotions of jealousy and rage and everything else. And it's interesting how they kept fighting at each other,
So
and
tell these guys, tell these guys, Jamie, the setup of the book.
Well, it's just they went to deepest, darkest New Guinea and went to these very primitive cultures, and essentially it was an anthropological study of how these people reacted towards each other and towards those outside of their particular group.
Yeah, I'll embellish that. As some of you know, Peter Matheson, who wrote this book, was a friend of mine. I think he's arguably America's greatest writer.
Beautiful.
What, Chris?
Beautiful, gorgeous writing.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous, beautiful writing. I mean,
he wrote everything, great novels, great nature books, and in fact, Reading Wildlife in America, one of his very first books, just a tremendous book.
North America.
I think it's
Wildlife in North America.
You sure that's right? Okay. I could go into my library and just check it. But
you better check.
So, anyway, they got to go to Papua New Guinea, these guys. This is when he was young, to study this tribe, this Stone Age tribe, an actual Stone Age tribe. They were just about ready to be overrun by civilization. And so they allowed them to go there, and this group of about 8 or 9 guys and as anthropologists and study this tribe. And the book is full of pictures. I mean, it's and they were there for several seasons, got to know all their names. I mean, these are like bone in the nose kinds of primitive people. It's just like I'm sorry, Tim Reith, he couldn't make it today, and neither can Tim Finnegan. And so, and Tim Reith, of course, being an archaeologist, I mean, and it's kind of like a 3D archaeology thing, where you actually got to go there instead of just finding the evidence of it and so on. And so there they are hanging out with this tribe, and of course they're on a valley. They're on one side of a valley, and on the other side of the water, on the other side of the valley, is another tribe. And so this tribe, these two tribes, basically, that was their main thing: to war with each other, to go to war with each other. In fact, in here he talks about that at one point. We're warring the two approaches warring or being in harmony with each other. And so that's what they do. They kill each other to a point where one of the guys in the tribe gets caught having a relationship with a woman of the other tribe.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet.
And what exactly? And so, Chris, what did they do to that guy?
I don't recall, Phil, but you were right. It was America. Sorry.
Jamie might remember.
Well,
They took that guy. Oh, go ahead.
they ostracized him for sure.
This is the guy that just had a relationship with a woman in the other tribe. They buried him up to his neck next to an anthill. Because the Amity complex was alive and well there. And so, I mean, it's not that far from West Side Story. And it's like this enmity thing is with us all the time. That's why I'm sorry Lloyd couldn't give it any reference at all. Because to me, it's what stands between humankind
In peace.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you see where it came from. I mean, how essential it was in the beginning.
Absolutely.
I mean, especially with like a society of baboons. I mean, it was critical. Everybody had to be on the page. The people the baboons that didn't want to behave, they got driven out. But now, where things are so different, and we're not really, I mean, we don't have to choose to be baboons anymore. You would think we'd be able to make better choices about this. You know, where it's so, I mean, us or them.
You'd think so. You'd think so.
You would think.
You'd think so.
It's not.
I think
you have to remember that not everybody, and certainly not with this group, that most people don't think as we do. We can only judge others by what we know, which is ourselves. How many times do you find yourself going, well, I wouldn't have done that. Why did they do that?
Mhm.
So just because we realize that there's a better way to go, obviously many people don't.
This is one of the books on our list.
Can.
And this guy, Theodore Roszak, was quite a thinker. This is published in 75. I've had this copy since 75, Unfinished Animal. As I look at it, and I think we'll be talking about this in weeks to come, our own history that looked like it was moving in the direction of evolution, or where we may have taken a wrong turn somewhere along the way as a species. I don't think there's any country in the world right now that isn't at war. I think the Amity complex
I think World War III started.
it's really very sick.
You know, there's a good passage. If I could just point out on page 177, he talks about the people that don't have any sense of morality. He says, in the case of someone with no sympathy, who desires to lead with bad actions, not overruled by the persistent social instincts and judgment of others, you essentially have bad people. That's Darwin speaking. And then Boyle says, yeah, this is in reference to psychopaths and sociopaths that, you know, psychologists identified later in the 20th century. But I can't help think of some of the leaders in our world today being sociopaths and psychopaths because they got no sense of this moral agent. It's not affected them. What happened to them?
Yeah, they got left behind. That's all.
But now they're leading
Slow
things.
process.
Yeah, but they're in front. They got left behind, but they're in front.
There's a lot of them.
Another book on our list is Arthur Keith's book, a new view of evolution. And in it, he creates the term enmity complex. Chris and I, for years, thought it was Robert Ardrey that created that term. We read all of our he read a couple more than I did, but I read about 3. And of course, it made total sense to me, and Chris as well, when he said, yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me that that's our human race. But at the same time, when we look at Ardrey, when in Keith's book, he's talking about how the early human beings becoming tribal were able to evolve in their best qualities in the tribe. So that without tribalism, which of course was enmity all the way, just like in Under the Mountain Wall. But at the same time, within the tribe, there was love and honor and loyalty and all these valuable human qualities that enabled us to evolve in the way Keith saw it. And this guy's a tremendous mind. He wrote this book in 1948. He was about 85 when he wrote it. He only lived a few years more. And you go, yeah, this is how we learn to love and be loyal and to be honorable and so on. But we still did it in the enmity, within the enmity problem. So it looks to me like we're falling back. I mean, this is, kind of counter what the book is here dealing with. But at the same time, to me, it almost feels to me as though we were reaching maybe the pinnacle of evolution in the 70s. And in what Theodore Roszak talks a lot about in this book is the age of Aquarius and how we were really, really up on that. I mean, it looked like we were really reaching a high quality of humankind. And then what happened? Well, Ronald Reagan, you could say, the Republican Party, the whole thing turned around, and in the 70s, I mean, I don't think there was a more conscious era, maybe in the time of George Washington, but as we had it going in the 70s. On the other hand, there's what is the example where evolution had took this shit. Oh, I know what it was. Anybody ever hear of A.S. Neal? No. I would look him up if I were you. He wrote a book called Summerhill. A.S. Neal was a brilliant educator. And his book had a big influence on me in the early 60s when I was a junior high school English teacher. And Summerhill School, in England, Neal created this school to welcome into the school, as a boarding school, to welcome students into that school that were incorrigible, which literally means incorrectable.
Right.
So because their families didn't know what to do with them, the teachers didn't know what to do with them, they would come to Summerhill School, and they would be allowed to not go to class if they didn't want to. They were allowed to just be in the lounge and hang out there and read and do stuff like that. And then slowly they would come to the classes. And every Sunday they would have a group of the whole student body in a meeting, and they all had the right to their own contribution. They were treated how old, all kinds of different ages, and they were allowed to have their voice heard. And more they were drawn into the education part of it, and they were drawn into that, and parents kept sending kids to that school and so on. It's an amazing book. And so then my kind of contemporaries of that early 60s, when I was in my early 20s, parents especially, took it all wrong. And they allowed their kids to get away with all kinds of stuff because they thought they were doing what A.S. Neal did. And so A.S. Neal had to write another book. And that book was called Freedom, Not License. Now, license seems like a good thing to have. You need one to drive. But there's also the word licentious, same root. And that doesn't have anything to do with goodness. That means to be totally acting without any bounds whatsoever. And Neal says, no, that's not what I meant. That's not what it was about. What it was about, freedom had responsibility that goes along with it. And you can't just have licentiousness there. And so I think that that's a big factor in my imagination, and has been ever since, that responsibility goes along with freedom. I mean, you just can't be free without it. And so in the 70s, this is why I want to get back to the 70s, if there was ever a licentious decade, I don't know when it would have been. I mean, right downtown Honolulu, man, you had gay movie theaters, other than non-gay movie theaters. You had movie theaters where the gays would go in there and give each other blowjobs right there, and right there, just a block away from the police station. It was like, that's what you call licentiousness. I mean, that's and we rubbed, and I was in the left side. What can I say? I mean, I was in that state of mind. Chris might be able to remember the kind of crazy things I wore to school. I mean, it was just a wild time. And we rubbed it in the faces of the conservative part of the culture. And they had it so against us, man. I mean, we insulted their values in so many ways that then it just struck back on us by the 80s and into the 90s. And now this is what we've got now.
Yeah. Remember that even, the counterculture movement was highly publicized. And I thought everybody was like that. Certainly all my friends were. But the fact of the matter was, not everybody was like that, like we hoped they would be. Because you think about these so-called leaders of today, they're our age. I mean, where were they? Remember high school, not everybody was cool. There was a lot of JROTC and all those guys,
I grew up with supreme white power guys. I mean, they're the parents of the kids that are wearing the polo shirts, the same. They're always there.
Yeah.
And of course,
they were there.
And of course, it was still, as I see it, a very high point in evolution too. I mean, there was spirituality all over in the 70s. I mean, metaphysical bookstores on all over town in Honolulu, where you just go in and there'd be a whole section on Buddhism and another whole section on Taoism and a whole another section on this or that.
Popular music. I mean, in popular music,
Yeah,
not edge music, but popular music. When you have, as example, let's say you have the Fifth Dimension singing about the age of Aquarius, right?
Yep.
I mean, that was what was in everybody's ears at the time.
Oh, you got that right. They played it over and over and over again up on the ski slope in Mount Hood. I mean, I was over and over. It was a good song, but
And I didn't mind looking at Marilyn McCoo. I mean, she's a pretty nice looking gal, you know.
So this is like, and this one of the things that I want to emphasize along the way here is the three times in history that we're really kind of focusing on in this process. One would be millions of years ago, when we were becoming human beings, going from pre-human to human. And being studied through archaeological evidence and all the various other stuff that Darwin and so on, and us even. That's one era that we can't not look at. I mean, it's really the birth of our species. I mean, it's really our foundation. That's our start in life. But then we go to Darwin's period, when the evolution side of it really came to light. And theories, but also all kinds of insights and understandings were born in Darwin's time. That's only a century and a half ago. And then you've got now and forward. Mitch is flashing. Luckily, he's got pants on. He's living.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. My sister just made dinner. I'm getting a couple bites. Be right back.
What did he say?
Getting a couple bites of dinner. His sister just made some dinner, so he's gonna have a couple bites.
And I actually am going to take off. I need to get something to eat. We had a long day, so I will see you all in a couple of weeks, or in
Good
between.
to see you, man. Be well.
You too. Welcome
Play a
to
couple of guitar licks.
Okay, Ronnie. Okay, well, we'll I'll be in touch with you guys. There you go. Oh, Ron, one of these times Ron will have to do a little music.
just to share. I'm not. So I'm now playing. I just started playing with the entry-level jazz ensemble at the community college, and it's like 30 people. It's not. I mean, we haven't broken up into our little groups yet. Yeah, so everybody comes in, and it's a good fun thing. I play electric bass in that band, because I can do that. Guitar, there's a lot of guitar heroes out there, and I don't move that fast. But I can. Playing bass is pretty fun, you know. So anyway, that's what I'm working on. I think this week is. I think the song for Monday is Perdido.
Perdido.
From That's the one. All right, I will leave you with that.
Okay, okay, wait. So who can tell me what Perdido means?
Oh, Guru. Gee.
I
have no. Is the place? Is it the name of the place?
It's not. It's not a place.
Is it Peril? Is it? It's not Peril.
No, it's not. It's not Peril.
I read it just the other day, and I should know it. Yeah.
What do we got? You're playing the damn song. You ought to know.
That's all right. That's right. All right.
Okay. It means it's a. You always got to know that in anything that ends in IDO in Spanish or IDA in Spanish means a past participle.
It's lost.
It means lost. It means lost.
Lost.
Yep.
I can handle that.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah, because it's by Juan. I don't know if it's Tizol or Tizzle. Tizzle, I imagine, who was part of Duke Ellington's band. But
well, Billy Strayhorn, I think, wrote it.
No. Juan Tizzol wrote it.
Juan Tizzol. He was a trombone player.
Tizzol.
Yes, Juan Tizzol. But Billy
Okay,
Strayhorn.
I gotta go grab some chow.
Okay.
Tai Chi tomorrow morning.
countdown?
Bye.
Who else is leaving early? Because we just got started at 3:30.
I'm here for a
Well,
while.
Well, okay,
I
then.
can tell you that I won't be here next month at all. I am gone for Scotland and Italy and
Wow.
Blues Cruise and Mexico and
Oh, that's right. So it's a Blues Cruise time for you, huh?
Nice.
oh yeah, got to do that
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you're going to be gone next month.
next month. Yeah.
Everybody else will be next next month. Well, okay, we'll say we still have a few people left here. In fact, all of you six, I guess, here still there.
You know, it's kind of nice is you look at the calendar. Every week from now on it is, I mean, every month we don't have a 3 week break. Between now and January, it's every other week. And then I think in January, the first week of January, there may be a 3 week stretch. But I just thought that was cool. We'll meet every other week. I was kind of missing it last week. That's kind of like, guys, we should do it every other week.
Oh, I
And then
see what you're saying between
now
September
and
the
Jan.
27th
Yeah.
and
And you
October
get,
the 11th, right?
yeah, the 11th, the 25th. The next month's the 8th, the 22nd. Next one's the 13th and
11th
27th.
and 25th. That's
This
right,
month.
because there's only 4 Saturdays in those months. That's why.
Yeah, there you go. In January, there's 5. So that'll be the first month we have to break. But we don't have
No,
to.
and in November there's 5 too. So that ought to go back. That'll go back to the other one, I would assume.
Let's see though. You go to 25th, and then you go to the 8th, and you go to 22nd.
Oh,
Following
yeah.
week is the 6th.
Yeah.
It keeps
Okay.
going every other week. It's kind of cool.
Well, I would say we'll probably have one more session with this book.
Okay.
And then and there's lots of other stuff we can chat here about for a little while. Including this chapter on our human situation in the future. Because this has got some really, really cool stuff in it. Peaceful partnerships and in fact, on page 154, Lloyd talks about our own cultural situation, where he says, let's see here, where he talks about, oh yeah, it's on page 154, where he says the direction of life now is all about consumerism and gadgetry. It's like he himself is suggesting that evolution is haywire. I think that I mean, this is why I feel this is such an important subject. I mean, that it's just nobody even. I mean, I think 50 years ago there was a lot more attention on it. And Age of Aquarius being, you could say, not only a musical way of appreciating it, but optimism in betterment and a future of and of course the Peace Corps. which was, in my own experience, and what we've got now is not very,
Isolationism.
huh?
I said isolationism. Just
Yeah.
don't want to help anybody.
Well,
Amity,
and
enmity.
it's
Yeah,
not-
oh, no way.
people are individually isolated, yet we have all these communication networks going on,
Mm-mm.
and everybody's hearing too much diverse information. In a way, we have the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
And it's just like people can't sort things out because they're hearing from too many sources, too many different things. And I think it's hard to make an organic choice when you have that many influences and you don't have a core sense of purpose and understanding of your being. And I think that's just, it's our ethos. It's a global ethos. And
Have
for
you ever
better or
noticed
worse.
these people? I've just come from a week's worth of motorcycle riding and partying and whatnot, and it's like even those people, just about everybody, we don't communicate with those who are near us. They all whip out their personal device and start looking at it instead of
Really?
discussing with people right next to them.
Wow.
It's really weird.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's terrible. Bunch of kids sitting around and they're all looking at their own phone.
Yeah, it's not, but it's not what I'm saying. It's not just the kids anymore. Everybody doing it, except me, because I'm functionally illiterate in the computer, and so I'm the one who's looking around at all these people, and they absolutely do not pay any attention to the people who are 2 feet away from them, and they're busy on their phones. It's really
These really
weird.
are. These really are very scary times. But at the same time,
That's because they're invested in the artificial. They're so invested in the artificial that they can't see it, and they just can't see it.
and we're back to that.
Well,
Yeah,
I think we're kind of back to a tale of two cities. It's the best of times and the worst of times, so to speak, on a global scale. It really is.
I'm not sure about the best. I'm not sure about the best.
There's no better time to be alive if you have a certain amount of wealth and can travel anywhere in the world you want to, and be with the decent people. But on the other hand, it's just so bad if you're on the have-not side, and there's way too many have-nots in this world compared to the ones who have. So
I think it's a technology
And
thing.
they don't-
It's what Phil and I were talking about before. People are not connected to the earth. They're living in cities and hives, and they never get away from it. Their technology is, I don't know what they're doing, hiding from nature, I suppose.
That is very important contrast between the natural and the artificial,
Yeah.
and how we've talked, and I've talked with most of you individually on this topic, and how the artificial is strangling the natural. I mean, I don't think there's any other way of looking at it. And there's a preference for the artificial. I mean, it's just like colors, even, all these crazy colors that people would rather look at than the genuine. In fact, of course, what really irritates me a lot is the pride flag. Anybody know why?
It's
Indigo.
Indigo is
Doesn't
not
have
there. That's right. There's
Oh,
no indigo in
indigo.
that flag.
Doesn't have wisdom at the top.
Mm.
There's only 6 colors in the pride flag, and I think most people don't understand it anyway. As some of you know, I mean, I was ordained as a minister in the early 80s, and our meditation was the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. And those are the
So why
chakras.
are there only 6 colors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because indigo
I mean,
is subtle.
Why don't
Indigo is subtle to look at it. The blue bleeds into the violet and leaves the indigo out. And indigo is third eye chakra.
right?
So
But does
that's
anybody know why the pride flag has only 6 colors in it?
because
I mean,
most people
is
don't
it
see
what?
don't see it as more. I don't think it's a conscious thing. I think it's an unconscious thing, but you never know.
Okay,
I mean, yeah, but there is a dark force.
I don't know.
I mean, there's a dark force, and the dark force.
LGBTQ. What's the letters? Are there 6 of them or 7? LGBTQ.
No.
Maybe it
Plus.
goes. It's you know.
LGBTQR or whatever it is.
Yeah, what is it? You know what I always think of? LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means find to pack off.
There, see, you can't forget that. That was a long time ago.
That's a long time ago, is right.
It's
But
still
it's
the
like
number one
I
cigarette.
think most people look at the and you know and having and Chris and I were in the same academic English department at UH, and you could see, and of course Hawaii, not only Hawaii but lots of Hawaii, very cultural conscious. So you've got these various cultures, and I think that that's really where the flag speaks to a lot of people is through the different is a peaceful sign, I think, for them among these different cultures. Um, but of course, there's no real peacefulness in it because that is really there's an anti-colonialism quality at bitter levels. I mean, it's one thing to recognize that, and that's what it's all about in this way of teaching English even anymore. Is that you're teaching it as a kind of that's why the West is the enemy, and it's that when we were in a culture that's strong that way. But my older daughter was in school in New Mexico, and she was finding it that there as well in graduate school in New Mexico. Um, but there's this tremendous cultural um, issue that is on the surface. So there's not much depth either in this whole outlook within ourselves. I mean, I think that the most important way of looking at ourselves is with depth. I mean, even in this stuff we read for today, it's moving more and more and more internally into the human self. This evolution, as Loy is expressing it with Darwin, becoming adopted into and taken into the self. This evolution becomes that's where the habit side comes too, in the caring, which is emotional, and then the what is it again? Get the
Yeah.
think it's got the thinking self, right? What is it? Those the term?
The mental faculties.
Yeah, but there's another term for it. Caring. I'm looking at
Caring, reflection.
this is so stupid. They should be really right on top of it. We should be all on top of right on top of this, and I always kind of forget this.
But he really had, a very distinct order of caring,
Here I am.
and then on top of
Reflection.
that, spell reflection, and then language came in, and that gave us to be able to be sharing our reflections, and then the power of habit
That's right.
of being able to repeat
Yeah.
things. And I looked at it as that's kind of the building blocks of an ethos, of a culture, cultural.
Carrying
All of
reflection,
those things,
language, and carrying reflection.
all of those things are what build up a culture and different ethos all over the world. And I thought that was brilliant to list those things. And yet, it's part of human evolution, but it's also, it's
non-physical.
It's not just individual. It's social. It's collective, and in a
Sure.
powerful way. And I thought that was a good outline he made. It's interesting. He mentions the power of caring, and that can be, the sympathy he started out with, but also a higher kind of compassion and empathy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised he kept using sympathy. Maybe he was trying to keep it simple, but he never used the word empathy or compassion in writing about this.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that interesting. And I think he's smart, and he did that on purpose. I don't know why he stuck with sympathy, but over and over, that was the go-to word, and not empathy or compassion. So that's kind of interesting to me. And I get it in terms of an animal, feeling based, and that maybe, compassion, and empathy is a little more reflective, but he still could have built that in
And
as being something more human than that, that we rise, above the animals, and that's kind of a chapter he led into was an escalation, more or less, of this.
well, you and I have both worked with spiritual practices that elevate compassion over sympathy.
Right.
And sympathy having more to do with a kind of a surface emotion, where compassion isn't identifying so much with the suffering, but relating to the suffering in a way that doesn't buy it, doesn't enter into it, doesn't take it on.
That's why I mentioned the word empathy.
Yeah.
So, for whatever reason, he didn't go there. He just stuck with sympathy over and over again when talking about that connection. And I get it in terms of we share that with the animals, that they have that emotion. And they, and it's a higher thing to have the idea, to have empathy. And it's a more human thing to have what we call compassion. So it was just interesting that he skipped out, and maybe it was, he mentioned once in the chapter, he could write a whole book on, on one subject, and he didn't want to, digress, and maybe that's why he didn't get into that distinction. But
it's also interesting. It's at some point we want to look into Gerg. If you recall, that's in mentioned here and there, General Evolutionary Research Group, which Loy, the late Loy, was a very major player in that organization. I think that basically this is really a critical time for evolution anyway. Is it like unstoppable? Is it a force that can't be, you can say it can be interrupted maybe, or temporarily
I think it can be paused. Yeah, it can be paused. And I think it's a pause. But the trouble is, we don't know how long it'll take to get back that feeling in the 70s. We could, we could just go through a couple presidential elections and feel better, or it might take 100 years. Evolution.
But there's so much destruction of that's on the verge of taking place, isn't there? I mean, in so many different ways, um, in terms of, I don't know. I mean, uh, we still have reincarnation,
You're right. The whole planet's,
um, and that's
thank goodness.
there. And we'll be talking more about that too, um, in terms of human evolution. How can we really um, get into human evolution without considering reincarnation? Um, I know several of us here are fully comfortable with it. Um, some others aren't, maybe. But um, as you know, I totally am. There's so much evidence in favor of it that it's hard to ignore it as if we're familiar with it. And we'll spend some time looking at that topic. It might sound like proselytization, or whatever the word is there, proselytization. I don't really think so. We're friends together here. But um, how do we actually, evolution to me seems to be something that's always going. I mean, I don't think it ceases. But at the same time, um, on the surface of life, it doesn't seem to be getting much of a chance. Um, and evolution, though, when you look at it in general terms, it's the analogy for me here is really the religions. I think evolution is in harmony with the religions in many ways. Um, the religions, if they have one thing in common, it's that the process of a lifetime is an evolution, because you are moving in the direction where you would then go to heaven or go to hell or what have you. So it fails, I guess, if you go to hell. Um, a lot of us are familiar with uh, reincarnation in that regard as well. Um, and so, but there is this resonance for me. Let's say Christianity. And I want to say this about Christianity. If there was ever an inclusive teacher, it would seem to me to be Jesus. I mean, he's not a guy that would say, I mean, it the so-called Christians are so demented about this topic
Yeah.
that they don't seem to know anything about the Gospels. I mean, I've taught the Gospels maybe 15 times
Hmm.
In narrative way.
Yeah.
So, and you can read for example, just one example would be because people will read the Gospels, and or the minister will say that Jesus says, of course, I am the way, I am the door. So one can interpret that to mean only me in the whole world can lead you to higher consciousness or what have you. You say, but this is a narrative. And in the narrative, who's he talking about not to follow? Right? The Pharisees, man. It's the fucking Pharisees. And so, because that's the story. The story is you follow me or you follow the Pharisees who are going to teach you how to hate other tribes, not to be able to sit down and eat with some person that isn't in the tribe and all this kind of stuff. Where Jesus is saying, everyone can be loved and should be loved. I mean, can you imagine what Jesus would do if he met the Buddha?
Oh,
You think he
give a
would?
big hug.
You'd love him. I mean, you would love him. I mean, they would become buddies. They would become fellow seekers and fellows. And so, in this regard, religion is destructive. And of course, the idea that you have one lifetime and then you're going to go to heaven or hell forever is preposterous.
I like the idea that our lives are so short. We really don't have enough time
Really?
to evolve
Really?
to the point where you're wise. So let's come back around and try again a little more. That's kind of what I was reading in Pendulum story. I forget the name of that, but that's a good article. There's something about the pendulum. It was about reincarnation.
Oh, stalking the wild pendulum?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
that's
guess that's
what's
right.
his name? I think maybe I turned you on to him, right?
Yeah, he did. He did.
He's a physicist. He's a mystical physicist, really, basically. And the stalking the wild pendulum is the idea that if you have a bunch of pendulums and hanging on the wall, and you just get them all going willy-nilly, after a short period of time, they're all in resonance with each other. They all go into resonance with each other. And he's talking about this as a human method, or just a human metaphor for spiritual resonance. And this is a scientist. I've got his book somewhere in my bookcase here. Yeah, Stalking the Wild Pendulum. It's an incredible book. I haven't read it for about 25 or 30 years, but it's just absolutely tremendous. I can't even remember his name. What's his name, Frankie?
Geez,
You remember that?
no, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'd have to go look. I've got it in some place because I know I wanted to read it again.
Yeah, it's a tremendous book where you marry science and spirituality together, and that was now it's just all that stuff is just faded away. I mean, think of it, all the metaphysical bookstores that were available in the 70s, and how you could go in there and there'd be a whole section on Buddhism, a whole best section on Taoism, and so on, all the way around the whole store, which would be about the size of my office here, maybe a little bigger. And so you go, wow, and all that's gone now.
Well, it's all available on your phone. But you have to be able,
Right.
to be exposed to it to know anything about it.
Exactly.
And it's not mainstream. It's bizarre that
It's technical again. It's technical. You have to turn to your phone and yeah. This is
Well, and bookstores have been dying off for years, and then so much of it, the younger people are interested in things. It's all gotten it all comes getting on from places online, and it's we live in this online culture. It's for better or worse. It gives more access to more things, but we don't have personal interactions.
And you don't know what's
It's
true.
a trade-off. What it is.
I mean, it is true. It is true that everything is online. And you can find it, and if you are of a mind to do it,
right.
I
myself
you can track almost anything down. Go ahead, Jamie.
I'm not. When I don't watch a lot of television. When I go to sleep, I turn on YouTube and just whatever's available. You know, I'm not discerning about it at all. But so I end up watching just about anything. I wonder if that's the way it is with, you know, mainstream of society. Just whatever's easily, readily available.
It depends on the subjects, and it depends on how well people that program things to pop up and stuff, depending on what subjects you're around, and it's just, but so much of it's driven by commercialism that it's, you know, it's like the best stuff doesn't always pop up. Sometimes it does, but it's, yeah, that's you can never underestimate how marketing is involved.
Well, I know that the algorithm
Things.
that once you start watching a certain subject, then that's what becomes available. There's more police videos.
Oh yeah, I
you know.
can have a conversation on the telephone, and when I get online searching for things, I'll get ads that relate to that subject.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, they eavesdrop.
That's true.
Yeah, they've got you figured out.
They definitely compile interest and market towards the complex of those interests, and sometimes they get it right, and sometimes they're way off base. It depends on how they're programmed, and you know, it's kind of like uncanny. So sometimes it's like, oh, they thought this about me because I said that. What, you know, how stupid. But then it's other times it's like, hey, wait, I'm interested in this advertisement.
Commerce.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Advertising works. It's unfortunate that, you know, that's why it's still being done. It actually works. You get exposed to something. I went to have my hearing checked. How they found out about that, I don't know. But I'm getting all sorts of ads for hearing aids, different kind of hearing aids that are, you know, buy our product. It's cheaper than this, and it's really bizarre.
Well, they're evil geniuses. I mean, they have no morality and no ethical behavior at all, because their only drive is to sell you the product. They don't care who it is. They don't care what it is. As long as they can sell it to you, that's their deal.
It's smart, but it's no worse than, you know, back in the old days when they used to sell cigarettes and have a sexy babe come up to you and sit on your lap because you're smoking the right cigarette, you know. I mean, at least we don't. It's cigarette advertisements are outlawed now, you know, for years now on television, and
people still buy that stuff. Have you seen how much a pack of cigarettes is today?
Oh God!
I was in the store the other day and I heard a guy say $10. How can it be that much? It's all taxes. It's what they call a vice tax, and most states implemented these extra to discourage children from smoking. You know, but
yeah, in the
Don't they
60s,
do
it was
it with the what do you call them? You know, the
cannabis.
no. I don't mean
They
cannabis.
tax the hell out of that. They tax the
The
hell out
stuff
of
that doesn't
alcohol.
smoke, you know, the stuff that
vaping.
Vaping.
vaping, yeah.
All that stuff gets taxed.
I know a lot of guys
revenue.
smoking weed with vaping now.
It's big revenue.
Other than vaping weed, yeah.
And you can vape just the flavor. You don't have to have the nicotine salts in it, which is also not good for your lungs. But on the upside, if you think about it, you don't have to light a whole cigarette and smoke the whole thing. You can just take one puff off your nicotine salts that are flavored like cinnamon, and you're done with it for that moment. It is
When I was 12 years old, we would go camping in the woods, and about 4 in the morning we'd get up, and in the dark of the night, and no cars on the road, we'd go down Montserrat Avenue to this place where there's a cigarette machine.
Oh
We
yeah,
get a pack of cigarettes for, I forget, a quarter or maybe
Quarter.
50 cents. And we're like 12. And we smoke them in the woods. And then when I went to Punahou, it was like no more smoking.
Montserrat, that takes me back.
Yeah.
that's right. The cigarette machine at the Shell station. And remember,
Burger
we
King.
didn't have a lot of choice. There was Chesterfield. There was, you know,
Oh, Lucky Strike. That was
Lucky
wasn't
Strike.
that the cowboy, Lucky Strike?
Yeah.
Cowboy,
Marlboro was the
the
cowboy.
Marlboro man.
Marlboro, that was
Marlboro Man. Who died of lung cancer. You do know this, the poor
yeah, I
man.
know.
Poor man.
Hey, speaking of dying, I
Oh,
want to say something about Mr. Kirk, who passed away a couple of days ago.
Mr.
Um,
Cook.
Kirk, the guy who got shot in Utah. The activist. That was his name, right?
Kirk, yeah.
Kirk. So I heard, and before I knew he was shot, I had heard that he had said something like, everyone should be able to have a gun in America. And a few
Oh, yeah.
bodies at the end of the year. Hey, doesn't matter as long as everyone can have a gun. And then a couple of days later, bam!
He said that, huh?
Yeah, he
oh,
said
yeah,
that.
poor guy.
He's one of the dead bodies now at the end of the year.
Wow.
It will be interesting.
Every
to
day
see.
in the paper, man. Every day in the paper, people are getting
It's
shot. I mean, my God, it's just like. But of course, we're told that guns don't kill people.
Oh.
It's the people that shoot them that do. And then you inflame these people.
yeah,
It's just.
it's really sad.
It is sad, but it will be interesting to see what sort of a spin they put on it. I have a friend who he sees the Jack Ruby thing coming out right back. They got a scapegoat, and then and he's all over the political scene and the news and everything like that. I'm just wondering, does anybody know? Because I'm not into current events. Have they caught anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, they caught the guy.
They caught him a couple of days later, yeah.
He's caught.
And what kind of guy is he? Is he
He's a 22-year-old guy. That's about all anybody knows yet.
Lives in Utah.
so?
Yeah.
So do we know his political standing? What's his manifesto?
I think it was mixed. I think he was somewhat conservative, but I don't know.
Oh
I
yeah,
really don't
you've
know.
heard that part, that much that he was.
The shooter. I don't take my word.
No, I don't know, and I'm not really curious about it, except the political spin they might put on it.
Just so
this
ironic.
guy, and it's another rallying point for well,
Like
hopefully.
everything else nowadays, there'll be a conspiracy theory before long.
I got one going already.
It'll be simple and clear cut, but yet there'll be a conspiracy theory.
I do want to say one thing about conspiracy theories, though. This is a language problem, as so many things are. Conspiracy theory could be true. It's not like all conspiracy theories are false. We throw the term around. It's kind of like this is of course, I'm a language teacher, I was, and this is just a terrible thing to do with the language.
Yeah.
Because if there's a conspiracy, and then you develop a theory about it, then the conspiracy theory is valid. So it's kind of like you take a term like male chauvinism, But do people say male chauvinism? They just say chauvinism. But chauvinism doesn't mean a gender thing. Chauvinism is a national thing. Chauvinism is like jingoism, if any of you actually know what that word means. And that means over nationalism. It means extreme nationalism. And that's what chauvinism means. So the early feminists, they coined the term male chauvinism. So, yeah, we know what they mean. And it means a kind of extreme male nationalism or whatever you have. But now you drop the first word and you've got, oh, he's a chauvinist. And it doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't have anything to do with male chauvinism. And there's all kinds of stuff like this going on in our language. Lazy.
What about just you call somebody a Republican now, and that's a certain type of person. It's not, there's a Republican and there's a Democrat, and it's black and white, and there's no difference in, any person in any of those parties.
There's Republicans, then there's
Democrat.
then there's MAGA Republicans, and then there's the sycophants.
What's the third one?
The sycophant, I don't know how to say it. Sycophants?
Sycophant.
Well, a sycophant is an ass kisser.
Yeah.
A sycophant's an ass kisser.
Well,
Yeah, right. So there's those, and then there's the real Republicans who don't do anything anyway. They're kind of the ass kissers too.
well, people who like to understand things thoroughly don't see things black and white, and that's a good metaphor we have here. You want to see the full spectrum of colors, even indigo, if you're intellectually cultured. But
Right.
a lot of people just like to see black and white, and they want that kind of simplicity in their life. And that's why there's so much polarization between political parties and political views, and it's just easier to see, and that's why people pop up and say conspiracy theories about things. It keeps them from thinking about what's really behind a movement of sorts. And it's some, almost every conspiracy theory has some truth in it. It's just a matter of how much, the truth is, and how much something's blown up and embellished. And I
would think, Mitch, that some conspiracy theories have truth to it, and that would be the ones that are true. But there can be other conspiracy theories that have no truth to them at all.
Well, that's right. Absolutely. And so, and probably the majority of them, are not really true, but they're built to satisfy people that have a certain outlook on life.
Because, well, you're saying that things are so polarized, and so because they're polarized, they are black and white. I mean, when you talk about Republicans, I think it would be hard to be a Republican and not be really polarized.
If you're a Trump Republican, for sure.
I'm sure there are
MAGA.
a few here and there.
Yeah.
But the ones that aren't polarized, to me, from what I can tell, and I follow this fairly closely, are former Republicans. Like Nicole Wallace, let's say, is an example of one. And so, because I don't think anybody who's balanced, I mean, I can remember back in the 60s and 70s, there were really rational Republicans.
Oh, sure.
I don't really see a lot of evidence of rational Republicans today.
Let me ask you just a point of clarification that a former Republican is not a Democrat? They're just no longer Republican?
A former Republican is no longer a Republican. Yeah. So
That doesn't mean they're a Democrat.
No,
No,
well, you don't have,
they
don't
might
have to be
not
one or
be.
the other.
They might not be, but it's hard not to be one or the other.
Right.
Since there's no game really for a third team. And
Well, we have independent voters it's been a growing demographic for 10 to 20 years. And
yeah, and I find independents. No, let's say libertarians. That's a good idea. So you got libertarians.
there's
They're
that
worse.
too.
They're worse than Republicans.
In philosophy,
Not anymore.
no.
Maybe not anymore. But they're
in party, as a party, yes. But the libertarian philosophy, well, there's different libertarian philosophies, and some of them are very good. But the party takes the worst points, and it's the Libertarian Party is not great.
Yeah. See, what I see with libertarians for a long time now is no. There's a great word in our language, and the word is governance, government, governing, governance, whatever you want to call it. The root of that word, who could tell me the root of the word governor? It's a machine term that you have on your machine. That you have on your
Yeah,
machine.
you can tune up a car, and there's a governor.
To keep your machine from going crazy and ruining itself. So the governor on the machine stops it from doing that. So that's the governor. So it's a good thing. But now governance means you're in charge, and you can get away with whatever you want to get away with.
Power.
And so governance, it doesn't even mean the words we use so much anymore and this is because of our education system as well. I mean, the educational system really is bad.
Yeah.
And the way I can see it even most clearly is in reading the newspaper. Here's a good one. Here's a really good one. A list of 3 things, like, or in a sentence with 3 things, like, he didn't go home, or see how it can do it. He didn't go home, or stay at the church, or join the army. So now this is very interesting. Chris will think of it because he teaches the language. So. And he used to be a student of the language when I was teaching the language.
Oh,
So,
yikes!
well, you were a great student.
Poor
Tremendous.
Chris. Oh.
And so here you go. You get, when I was a student, 60, 70 years ago, 75 or 80 years ago. So when I was a student, you needed to have the comma after both. So I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that, comma. Or they're not going to do this. So then it got liberalized when I was maybe graduate school or something like that in the 60s, so that you didn't need to have that second comma. Now, if you really pay attention in reading articles or whatever, you can't use the second comma. I know, sounds bizarre, but you'll never see it anymore. You'll never see it in a newspaper article or whatever, because I read the paper a lot. But there are times when you should have the second comma because you want to pause there. That's all you want the comma for. Remember, Chris, I used to say commas, well, how was it that semicolons are walls and commas?
Oh, no,
You know?
colons and semicolons.
Yeah,
Semicolons are walls and colons are windows.
Yeah. And so, but there's the same with commas. That second comma, I mean, it's so like, it's just grammar, who gives a shit? But that second comma, you never see it anymore. So when I read these articles, you want to pause there because it goes right into the next one, and you've got the 2 without a comma between them, and it just doesn't work right. It doesn't feel right. But I don't know how this all happened, but it's just like saying me and him went to the movies.
Ow.
I mean, it's like me and Jan, me and Jack, and everybody thinks that's the right way.
I hear intelligent, educated people use that.
Oh, yeah, of course. They'll do it on television. They'll do whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's like the language is so warped now that you know what they mean. That's all the answer is always, they always answer, well, you know what you mean.
You know what they
You know what you
mean,
mean. As long as you know what you mean and so on. But this
Well,
is why
you
I
know
keep
what?
thinking I'd like to write something called the love of grammar. Loving grammar. Because
Yeah.
everything in the experience, everything in our experience is in the grammar. Everything is in the grammar. It's accounted for there, but it's being trashed. There's all kinds of other examples that I don't really.
No, it's like the word whom. Nobody uses whom anymore.
No, except
They
maybe
just-
for a subject.
You just speak wrong.
except maybe
Right.
it's just the deep.
Whom, to
Listen,
whom
this
do
is
you
more
wish to speak?
fundamental.
This is such a
This is more
this is
fundamental
such
than
a
that.
sob.
Mike.
This is such a sob.
You are no longer allowed to use cursive in the school. You
Ah.
cannot write.
Can't use
in the
what?
Cursive.
You
Cursive.
can't use cursive writing.
They don't teach it in elementary school anymore
You cannot use it.
because
Oh, yeah.
it's a lot of trouble to do for a culture who's growing up with digital phones and digital laptops,
A lot of that.
and they don't need to learn how to print
Or
because
spell.
they're typing.
But I think having been a teacher and watching this whole thing unfold, I think that the big and then getting your students at the university level, where they've already been warped in the schools. And Chris knows what I'm talking about here very well because we see it at the university level as well. In fact, I saw it even there, where young faculty, they want to make the students feel really good about themselves.
Oh, God. It's so terrible.
They don't want the students to be. It's like,
Oh, you're talking about the woke movement that is in.
well,
you know,
there is a kind of a wokeness to
it's
that.
a woke movement in academia. Yeah.
It's because hey, this is a good thing too to look at the woke thing, because it woke kind of was a good thing for a while,
Initially,
and so
Being awake.
but
I'm
but
awake.
the problem with it is that it is so over there. Now, of course, you got Trump just calling everything woke. He did that, but it's like, but the thing about shit. Now we're over there. Oh, Chris knows what I'm talking about here, I'm sure, because he's teaching freshmen a lot. And so where the students have been, you could say, cajoled or whatever, into feeling good about themselves, no matter what they hand in.
Yeah.
And so now you get it at the university level. And I don't think even their teachers in public school know grammar anymore. I don't think they care. I don't think they, because you see it all over the place. I mean, this is. I don't want to be talking about this. This
Hey,
is
Phil, in reference to your new book, I don't think you're going to sell too many copies there. The love of grammar. I got to tell you.
The love of grammar.
Oh yeah, that's what we should do, though. That's what we should learn how to do. We should learn
And
how
do
to
it in cursive.
The grammar accounts for everything in our experience. Everything is accounted for there. So that we got nouns, we got all the parts of speech, for example, all have categories that they account for. Clarity, meaning, it depends on the grammar. And just think about it as the history of it. Just think of that as we're looking at like the under the mountain wall, you could say, and we're looking at history of humankind in this respect. And so we needed to create the grammar but the grammar was already created for us because it was all there.
You know, punctuation.
And I know you taught grammar for lots of years too.
Yeah, but punctuation isn't that old, Phil. You know that. It used to be, there would,
Yeah.
when it first came out, it was in the printing presses, it was all written together. There was no
I
period.
don't buy that. I don't buy that, Jimmy. And so I'm going to tell you about this guy, John Taylor Gatto. He has a book called Dumbing Us Down. Maybe somebody's heard of it here.
Yeah.
He came to Hawaii and I talked to him and he gave some talks and so on and won some awards and teaching awards and so on. He told a story in one of these talks he gave where he was living in an old schoolhouse in New York State. He taught in New York City. And he taught teaching on this old schoolhouse in New York in the countryside. He was staying in a countryside old schoolhouse. And so so he went downstairs into the cellar and he found all these farmers' almanacs from the 19th century.
Yeah.
And he starts reading these almanacs in sentences that are more complicated than we can even understand, partly. Because 19th century farmers, most of which go to the 6th grade or the 7th grade or something like that, and that's it. Then they're the farmers. And that's what's happened to the grammar. That's what's happened to our language, is that it's been trashed.
A good example of that is like when I first read things by Emerson or Thoreau, I thought, what a vocabulary. Then I saw some shows on the Civil War, and they were reading letters from soldiers, poor, soldiers that weren't wealthy and educated, and their vocabularies they had words that you never hear nowadays, hardly, except by very educated people. And so our vocabulary were much better back in the old days, 100 and some years ago.
Yep.
And now I see generation of kids nowadays, 2 generations younger than me, have fairly small vocabularies, and their grammar, they don't have to worry about it because when they are on their computers, there's not just spell correct like we had 20 years ago. They correct your grammar on these computers, the programs now. So in a way, the computers are teaching the kids grammar. They'll see their sentence structure changed by a computer. And that's the future.
If they learn from it, though, and maybe they don't learn from it. Maybe
I don't think they learn from it.
Well, they
You
don't
need
learn from it
repetition.
any more than they learn from their teachers that they ignore in classroom.
The automatic grammar thing, it's not always correct. It's
not.
It takes a shot at it, and
Computers are only as good as the programming, but overall, these programs get improved year after year. But that's how our kids are going to learn grammar. It's going to be through seeing the change when they write something down that the computer makes for them.
And all of this influences evolution.
That's right.
So, I mean, evolution really is being, I would think, would mean to be the best we are.
And that's what the book says. And that was my question. What is the drive that makes us want to be better, want to stay alive? Where does that come from?
Yeah. I think that's a good question anymore.
Well, and that's the thing is how much is evolution what we would call adaptation, and how much of it is what we would call becoming more excellent or better.
And change.
Yeah.
Of course, although of course adaptation really was evolution, right? In terms of animals and that was the foundation of evolution, was adaptation, and then mutation.
Well, and now the adaptation is being able to navigate smart devices, and the children adapt to them very quickly, and people over the age of 50 have a hard time usually, as a rule of
Hey,
thumb.
I'm gonna sign off. I'm gonna go eat. I will see
That's
you
okay.
guys in a
That's
while.
what's okay. Chris,
Good to see you, Jamie.
All right.
what's
Nice
Chris
seeing
you're gonna say?
everybody.
Chris has something.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm really enjoying spending time with you guys. Is great, but it is time for me to get back to the
Oh yeah.
seven essays were waiting when I joined the circle.
Whoa.
I'm sure
Yeah,
there's
this is good. This is
sure
this
there's
is
more.
good. This is like not what our topic really is, but this is really. But Scott, I want to talk to you afterward. Can you wait just a second?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. See
Well, I'm
ya.
gonna sign off too.
Take
I'll
care, guys.
see you next time.
See you next
I'll
time.
keep in touch.
Great
Yeah,
talking
so-
to you.
Bye.
See you on the 27th,
There you go.
Right.
and I'll be in touch with you. I'll be in touch with you.
Here we go.
Because we already know what the next reading is because I sent that sheet a long time ago.
Yep.
From chapter 10 to chapter 14, I think, something like that.
That's what we did for today. Yeah.
Or
And we're gonna keep talking
maybe
about
it's
that.
more than that. I forget what those two chapters are, but anyway, whoops, Scott left.
Oh,
I thought he
you wanted to talk to him.
Huh. Scott, what the fuck? Okay. Yeah, I can't talk like that on this thing. You never know. Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
guys.
I'm going. See you later, Phil.
Okay,
Thanks,
okay,
man.
Frankie. Okay,
Great.
bye-bye. Okay, bye-bye.
I don't know how to get it out of here.
I'm shutting down.